And we're live. This is Ted Hicks from Late Night Parents, back here with none other than my good friend Todd Vandenberg. He goes on Twitter as the Unreal Todd. Todd, how you doing?
I am doing well, sir. As you can tell, and no one else can because this is an audio show, I'm having a great hair day. It's all over the place. So
you're having a great hair day, and I told you.
Yes.
And I don't have that problem.
Sometimes I would prefer your hair days. Like,
it's like, maybe if you catch me on the third day and I haven't shaved and I have that kind of George Jefferson type thing going on.
As long as you don't have the attitude with it. It's like,
oh my goodness.
Well, actually, that'd be okay. We need a few George Jeffersons running around these days.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Ton of things to speak with you about. As always, it's great talking and working once again with our good friends at Nikki X Happy Hour. Todd Vandenberg, Lee Val, and the real Rob Steele. It's just good times. It's just good times connecting, and it was funny because I was looking back to a tweet or someone retweeted a tweet of mine of me talking about Nikki X back in 2015. I said, "Oh my goodness!"
I'm sure it was Lee.
I said, "What in the world?" I'm like, "Huh?" But hey, we got a lot of things going on. Hold on, I'm just trying to tighten up the boards a little bit here.
Some of those are good things too.
Yeah,
which we can use.
Which we could definitely use nowadays. I mean, I don't know. Knowing the fact that number of deaths that continues to increase, and at what point, Todd, are we at the point of being able to accept 1,000 lives a day is like acceptable, or
it seems like it's acceptable to a lot of people that we have, and I haven't looked in a few days just because. I guess in a way I'm part of that problem is we're getting inured to it. It's like, oh, it's 170,000. And then, people will come up with it's like, well, this many people die this way. It's like, yeah, but these are people who wouldn't have been dead otherwise.
Right.
And it's criminal, like literally criminal when the Cheeto in the Oval Office comes out with a statement that, oh, look, they're having an explosion of cases in New Zealand. Yeah, they had 7 cases.
Yes.
You've had, what is it, up to 172,000 deaths? Because like I said, I haven't checked in a few days. It's well over 170,000.
Yeah. I think we're at 176 now.
Oh, Jesus.
Comfortably.
Jesus, 176,000 people dead. And he's criticizing New Zealand because they have 7 new cases. Like, I do not understand, yet again, how anybody can support this utter lying SOB.
Yes, I agree with you.
And then he brags about, well, we would have had 2 million dead if it hadn't been for me. He's like, dude, we probably would have had about 3,000, which is terrible, which would have been much worse than most countries, but that's part of how we are because some of us won't wear masks. But if he had been wearing a mask from day one, instead of wearing it once and saying it's the patriotic thing to do, and then haven't seen him wear a mask since then, haven't seen him talk about it since then.
At all.
But instead, I'm going to criticize another country, which hadn't had a case for, 120 days. They hadn't had any cases in New Zealand. And all of a sudden they had a flare up, and here's the difference. They're tracking it, figuring out how it happened. That's why they still have 7 cases.
Right.
Ugh. Yeah, it's very strange to me that 176,000 deaths are acceptable. One of my cousins was tested positive just last week, and she's doing okay so far. So
that's good to hear.
That's good. But long-term health reasons, we're just now finding out that there are long-term consequences for this.
Correct.
So just because you don't die doesn't mean you're having a picnic. So, this is the 176,000 deaths, unfortunately, could very well just be the tip of the iceberg. and we won't know the true cost maybe for a decade. So the fact that people are just acting like, well, it's the flu, like, dude, no.
Stop it. And it's I usually take out time for each podcast to address this, because it's something where when it becomes normalcy,
right,
then we got a problem.
Exactly. We're heading to that.
It was, do you remember, it was around about the death of George Floyd, and the focus on cable news became George Floyd, racial injustice, the criminal justice system, and they stopped totally talking about the COVID deaths. So then that cycle, ran through for about, and I have to call it a cycle, and I'm not trying to be insensitive. That cycle ran its course for about 3 or 4 weeks, and all of a sudden they shifted back to the COVID-related deaths, and we were like at 80,000. And you were like, well, wait a minute, where did all of this happen? Because this stuff was always happening.
Right.
The deaths were always taking place.
And as you said, it's the news cycle, because it's whatever's fresh. And it's not like injustice has been solved.
No.
So that problem hasn't gone away either, clearly. And I'm sure you've seen, the people, where's the justice for the 5-year-old child who was murdered?
Yes.
Well, the justice is the guy was arrested almost immediately. Yes. That's what justice is called. It's like, how can you not understand the basic precept of Black Lives Matter? It's that there's no justice.
It's true.
My God. I mean, how can you have such a terrible lack of critical thinking skills to not understand that it's not so much about the deaths, but the deaths, hell, in some cases, they get rewarded. Yeah. Oh, you get a promotion. We're not going to investigate you. They know who killed Breonna Taylor.
They know.
And yet, nothing happens. So shut up about the justice for the 5-year-old kid. Yes, it's a tragedy, what happened to him. But there's no injustice.
That is true. Hey, I want to get into, with you, Democratic National Convention took place this week. It was unlike anything that we've seen before.
Right.
But before we talked about DNC, I want to talk about something I have listed up here. I hope I spelled it correctly. Hashtag Biden initiative. And I say that for, people think about Avengers initiative, 10 years ago or something like that. But you sent an email to me, heartfelt email, and I wanted to give you the floor about your thoughts on this upcoming election and some of the things that you're doing.
Well, I would say that that's a very apt comparison, the Biden initiative to the Avenger initiative, because literally Biden is leading a team that hopefully, and I'm not being facetious or sarcastic or exaggerating when I say his mission is to save the world. Because what's happening under Trump's leadership? Not good things. Let's just leave it at that. So a friend of mine sent me a link to an organization which is training people to make calls, to call people who might possibly swing to Biden support. You're not going to be moving over to try to convince diehard Trump supporters. That's not how it works, because that's not going to happen. But there are so many people somehow still on the fence that those are people that we can contact. So I'm just going to read part of the email. I said, hey, peeps, I'm sending a blanket email to about a dozen of my friends that I know support Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. At least I think you do, based on your clear revulsion toward the racist rapist, allegedly, until we get that DNA test, fraud, wannabe dictator in the Oval Office. So it's a link for a call. There's about a 2-hour training session. And then they send you the list of people that you need to call. And hopefully, this is the kind of support that worked for Obama. unfortunately, the kind of support that didn't work for Hillary, and did the same kind of thing for Hillary. And I apologize. I didn't call enough people in Michigan and Pennsylvania, apparently. But Biden's not going to make that mistake. So it's really, really critical. And I'm sure you will have the link for your show. And I'm going to tweet the link, and I'll put it on Facebook.
Yep, I will. And I will include it on the YouTube stream and everywhere else that this podcast goes.
Yeah, it's really important that, they're not asking for money. There are other places that ask for money to help Biden because, he needs it. But they're asking for your time and your commitment. So if you're strapped for cash, this is still a way you can do this. And this is with a phone. You don't even need a broadband connection. So
the good old-fashioned way.
Yeah, I urge you to, everyone listening, and I would hope most of the people listening are on the side of, sanity and humanity and dignity. So I urge you to help get Biden-Harris in the office. And it's critical that we also think of Harris, because I don't think there's ever been a time when the vice president will be more important.
That's true.
So
that is true. That is true. Well, thank you for that. I was mentioning a few minutes ago, DNC and, convention strategy and everything being remote and virtual and having to be put together, production-wise, a lot different without, crowds and that type of energy.
Very different.
Very, very different. And each night, the tone seemed a little bit different. I for one, loved Julia Louis-Dreyfus's her hosting, her take on Selena Meyer, everything about, not that I didn't love the other three nights, I really did, but I think she was channeling Selena Meyer. And, I guess the Twitter world wasn't too happy about it, but I'm like, if you didn't watch the show, you probably wouldn't get it. It's one of those kind of inside jokes. It was really, really different. The heartfelt stories that, that was the same because you hear from real people, whether or not you like or hate politicians and or celebrities and all the other stuff. I thought the production got better each and every night, Todd. The first night was a little touch and go with a few things. But as it progressed, so I'm looking forward to watching the clown show for this week. I just want your overview. Your overview
I think it really helped the DNC, their convention, without the crowds, because we're so used to the crowds. That's how they're always done. But it made everything more personal because now they're just talking to you. They're not addressing the conventioneers. So I think that actually helped. You don't hear the crowds cheering at the beats, but it's like the speeches were good enough. You didn't need to be prompted to cheer by a crowd. It's like you know what they're saying.
Yes.
The clown show. Some of the speakers, my gosh, the St. Louis couple who decided to threaten to kill people.
Come on.
That's a good call.
That's a good call.
The pillow guy. What, when you mentioned celebrities, that's why I laughed, because Ted Cruz, criticized the DNC, for having celebrities, and someone reminded him helpfully that he followed Clint Eastwood and the famous chair. It's like, dude, you're actually going to call out celebrities, how celebrities really don't need to be talking? There's like the all-time ridiculous celebrity appearance, and you followed him. So the guy has no self-awareness, clearly, since he supports a guy who called his wife ugly and called his dad an assassin. It's like, Ted, you're a man of honor. Oh, my God.
Hopefully when this is over, January 21st or January 20th, 2021, I wonder how some of these people the enablers, that will be in office until 2022. I want to see how they try to rehabilitate themselves in the public. Because you've been a bootlicker for the entire 4-year period.
Yeah, because there are so many statements you can find of all of these people calling Trump unfit for office and a jerk and everything else during the primary. And then all of a sudden, he's their God, almost literally, which is horrifying. So, yeah, absolutely no sense of integrity or honor. So it will be very interesting to see how they try to rehabilitate and I never really supported him, or, whatever idiotic excuse they're going to come up with to try to save their jobs, because that's all they care about. Clearly, they don't care about their people unless their people have really fat wallets. That's the only people they care about.
Hey, I want to quickly say this is Ted Hicks for Late Night Parents. Ways to follow the show is latenightparents.com. We have Todd Vandenberg, the Unreal Todd. He's a great follow if you're looking for snarkiness on Twitter, and an even better follow on Facebook. Big question for you. AMC should have said reopening. Are you returning to the movies? I'm not going.
I do not have the opportunity because Palm Beach County, where I reside, ain't open for business yet that way. They're considering phase 2. But if they were, I would not be going, because I'm not going to willfully go sit in a room, because to me, from what they've diagrammed, the spacing isn't enough. They're going to have 2 seats in between every person.
Right.
And it's like, dude, you're still in a room with someone without a mask and in an enclosed room for 2 hours. It's like, no, thank you. I mean, I've been working from home since March 18th.
Exactly. I agree with you.
I'm not going to willfully go into a closed room with a bunch of people in the middle of a pandemic. I mean, Florida actually got some good news, although I think it's probably just because they're cutting the testing. So obviously the positive results are down. It's like, you don't test as many people.
Right.
They're fulfilling Trump's thing. It's like, if we didn't test people, we wouldn't have it. Yeah, you're right. If we tested no one, there would be no recorded cases. There'd still be cases. We wouldn't know about it. So I think that's what Florida's doing, which is awful, but it's par for the course for governor death sentence. So that's what he likes.
I think the first weekend for Regal, AMC, Lowe's, I know AMC was 15 cents this weekend.
Right.
And I'm sitting there saying, okay, when something is free or at that insanely low price, something is wrong here. Yeah.
AMC is doing it because it's their 100th anniversary, and that was the ticket price when they started. So they have, but still, if they hadn't been closed all summer, I guarantee you, they would have had a 15 cent small Coke or something like that. They wouldn't be getting a ticket for 15 cents. So they're desperate to get people back in. So, if it was free, if they paid me $15 to go, it's like, no, sorry, I'm not going to go. It's gonna be a while before I get to a movie theater, which makes me very sad because I really like to go to the movies, but I would rather breathe without a ventilator.
So my wife is on the phone. She comes out. She sees a camera. She ducks. She taps on the table for me to hand her a cell phone. She backs out. Love her to death. I'm like,
it's like the BBC footage.
Well, it's always good with me for whether video, audio, podcast, whatever. It's like something is gonna happen on my side.
Of course,
someone is bound to walk in and just say, "Hey, What's going on here?
Well, those are known as the benefits of having a family. So.
Oh my goodness.
A small price to pay.
Yes. I will. Hey, Pam. Pam. Can you take it off the speaker? Thank you.
Woo!
Okay, so we have DC FanDome was yesterday. I was watching it. I think I'm more interested in DC than Marvel. I mean, I don't even know if it's okay to say that. Yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb.
Okay to say that.
Yeah, once again, kind of similar to like with Comic-Con, totally virtual, big difference, everything in 24 hours.
Right.
And I said, this is awesome. Don't spread it across a couple of days. Give it to me. And anything that doesn't make, kind of like that specific, Saturday event, release it on the web. Right. I thought it was a good event. Between movies and TV, some of the, the TV shows, that's going to be on September 12th when they're going to have a lot of different panels for the TV shows. But video games, movies, all the above. I do want to go back to the fact that I like the fact that DC is using HBO Max.
Yeah.
They're sunsetting the DC streaming service.
Right.
I love the fact.
I'm glad they're doing that. I'm not going to get HBO Max because I'm kind of maxed out on my streaming services. Of course. But it makes so much sense to go to an HBO Max because it's going to offer so much more than just DC Universe. So, yeah, I think that's a very good choice on there. And I agree with you. It's very smart the way they did this. The 24 hours for the big hitters. And then 3 weeks later, then they're going to do all the other stuff. So, that was really smart the way they handled it. It's virtual. So, take advantage of that concept. You don't have to have everything day after day after day because no one's traveling.
No one's traveling.
All you got to do is fire up their computer and it's like, there they are. So, yeah, I thought that was very, very smart on their part.
So, I don't know if you were a fan of Titans. The fact that Titans is going to HBO Max.
Not a fan of Titans. Not after I saw Robin trot down the steps instead of jump off the balcony because he's not an acrobat. But again, that's a very smart move.
Yeah,
we have such a much bigger audience.
The other thing is the Batman TV series that's going to complement the Batman movie, and it's going to be on Batman Year One. I said, but it's told through the eyes of a corrupt cop. Right. I like the fact that they're giving you a bridge to get to the movie because the movie won't be out until October 21. So you're like, okay, so what are we supposed to do?
Exactly.
So the fact that they can give you a bridge, I am thinking, hey, great idea, smart move. Yeah, great to use HBO Max in that, as that vehicle. I will tell you,
Marvel is using Disney Plus.
Yes, so. Same way. So smart because it gives us fans. Hey, if there's a great slate of movies coming out every 2 years, or your favorite hero is going to be out every 2 or 3 years, you might need something in between that time.
Exactly.
To hold you over. So I like to see TV connect to the movie verse, and also with the comic books. Because Todd, we all read comics when we were younger.
We did.
We did. Our
Yeah.
I can't say that's the case today. You got so many comics, and everything is shuttering. We're watching everything.
DC has a lot fewer.
Yes.
Wow.
Everything just collapsed in between. And I don't know if you blame it on COVID. You blame it on the short attention span. What do you blame it on?
I would think that they would be doing better with COVID because more people are at home and they've got more time.
Right.
Because of less travel and the rest. As far as the titles that DC axed, the list basically made sense, though. Most of those titles, why did they even have them? So other than poor Hawkman, who gets the axe every decade, is like, yeah, we're tired of this character we had for forever. But so many of those titles were like, they're tertiary characters, to Batman or something. It's like, no, that doesn't need its own run. So
right.
That makes sense. So it wasn't like we're going to stop doing Justice League and Superman and Wonder Woman. It was like, it wasn't anything like that. So,
right.
So, you can see that. And yeah, apparently, sadly, they had to do that. So, that was a good business decision, just like the 24-hour DC FanDome was a good decision.
Right.
I'm not so sure about some of the decisions on those trailers, but other than that, they seem to be making good calls.
That's true. Want to go to Wonder Woman 1984? Thumbs up, thumbs sideways, thumbs down.
Oh, thumbs up. Partly just because of how much I enjoyed the first one. That was a big surprise because that was the first DC movie since Christopher Nolan signed off that was worth watching to me. Compared to what had been done, compared to like Man of Steel, and they knocked it out of the park with that. So kudos to Patty Jenkins. I like that they've got Cheetah, and I like that you see the character evolve.
Yes.
In the trailer, I like the different looks from Wonder Woman. It seems kind of like they ripped off the Man Out of Time gags with Steve Rogers for Steve Trevor, because we see a lot of shoot pants stuff, but it's still funny, and it's an interesting character, and Chris Pine's a good actor, a likable actor. So I didn't see anything that struck me as not interesting or didn't make me want to go see the movie. So I thought it was a very good trailer.
I like the fact that we understand now how Steve Trevor appears in this movie, because we were, initially with the first set of teasers and the first trailer, 6 or 8 months ago, we were like, huh?
Yeah.
How's this guy alive? And it's 80 years later.
Yeah. And I just figured, it's comics. They'll have a reason.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Next one is, we kind of saw the rendering of, what to expect for The Rock. No bigger star than him.
That trailer is trash. If you can't do, and I understand why they couldn't do movie footage because there's none, well, then you don't have a trailer, do you? A trailer shouldn't be basically storyboards. I don't want to see an artist rendering. If you're going to do an animated Black Adam movie, cool. Then it's a good trailer. Right. It's not an animated Black Adam movie, so don't show me this. That was ridiculous. I appreciate the fact that they had The Rock standing there looking like Rock. Cool. Yeah. I can see that a lot. that did nothing for me. And basically told the story is okay. So I could have read that and been just as excited, and been more excited actually, because then I could have pictured The Rock doing that instead of this animated. Actually, not even animated. Just. I don't know why they bothered. Why didn't they just have The Rock? I would have much rather have seen The Rock talk about why he wanted to play the character.
Yes.
How he's been given for years to play the character, And it's The Rock talking. That would have been much more effective, hearing The Rock talk for 2 minutes. And he could have talked as Dwayne Johnson, or he could have talked as The Rock and blended it because he's so damn good at that. That would have been vastly entertaining compared to what they did. That was a total bomb to me. Will I go see the movie? Yeah, because it's The Rock. But it has nothing to do with the trailer.
Nothing to do with the trailer. The rendering, it was kind of like we have to push something out now. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of like, I kind of lean towards what you're talking about. Have The Rock out there, have it, hype it up, talk about how he's been passionate about this character since, for the last decade.
Exactly.
He could have sold it on that.
It's been a decade that he's been wanting to make this movie. That makes me want to see it, because if this guy who makes every movie he makes is entertaining. They're not all great, but they're all entertaining. They all make money, and this is a project that he's wanted to do for like a decade, like you said. It's like, yeah, I want to see him talk about that. I want to see what makes this character interesting to him, not some storyboards. It's like, oh, cool, thanks. It was like one of the worst Warner Brothers animated movies, and there's not many of those, but there are a few. It's just that was pointless.
Kind of excited about, James Gunn, the Suicide Squad. I get a little nervous when in simulcasts like this that are so large, but I'm thinking that maybe we're going to get various iterations of the Suicide Squad. I'm hoping, because I'm like, how are we going to pull off in one movie without any type of a bridge or TV show or TV series, something anime to drop all of this in for that movie?
It certainly sounds like, and I love the concept that they've got their first not the first iteration, because some of them are dead, but they'll have an initial iteration and they'll get killed because they are called the Suicide Squad. And then we'll have the next one, which is the real stars. So some of the more outrageous characters ain't going to make it. Like, I have a feeling Polka Dot Man, he probably won't.
He's not going to make it.
Not going to make it. So the trailer I thought the trailer was really interesting. I was really interested in the fact that Gunn said this was the biggest movie he's ever done. It was like, dude, you made a movie about a guy who's a living planet. This is the biggest movie you've ever done.
Right. What are you talking about?
Which I know what he's saying. And, of course, that's part of his job to hype the movie. But I think he's being genuine, because he seems like a genuine person. So I think he really feels that, which is, if he thinks this is the biggest thing, he didn't say best, but the biggest thing he's ever done, I'm on board.
Right. I'm okay with that.
I totally think he can pull this off. And Suicide Squad was an okay movie. I didn't think it was great, but it was okay. But I think he can. Well, for one thing, it's got Idris Elba, which is like, that's a huge upgrade if you just want to read a phone book. It's like, hey,
of course.
You're like, oh, of course I can. I can't even pretend to do this voice. But yeah, so I'm really excited to see this. The trailer just showed lots of weird random action and a lot of interaction with the panel and people making fun of Michael Rooker, which is always a fun thing. So yeah, that I think the panel on that and the trailer absolutely did its job for that. I'm much more looking forward to this Suicide Squad than the first movie.
Okay. Big one coming up right now.
The big
when
one.
You heard Nirvana playing. Did you immediately get hyped?
Pretty much. Pretty close.
Is it okay, before we even get into this, the fact that Batfleck is coming back for the Flash movie.
Yeah.
I really want to see a Batfleck HBO Max solo Batman movie before he goes off and,
Would you rather see a solo Batfleck movie or a solo Batfleck, like, limited series?
Limited series.
Yeah, I'm down for a limited series because I thought he was awesome.
I'm down for that. but I would like to see. Yeah, that's what I said. HBO Max is just if they want to make it as well, they can't make it as great as Disney, but I think Batfleck in a limited series.
Yeah, that would be terrific. Or a movie, whatever he's got time for, whatever they want to commit to. But yeah, because he had a terrific, the writers also, but they had a terrific take on that character. I mean, it's obviously much more closer to The Dark Knight Returns. And I don't mean the movie, I mean the comics of the older Batman. Really, really well done. And he's
the worn down, beaten, we'll put Michael Keaton off to the side for a couple of minutes. But the worn down, grizzled Batman who's been doing it for 20 years and who's just like, okay, I've seen all this. There's nothing. I would love to see that. I mean,
that would be
psyched for, like I said, for the Flash movies, psyched for whatever reshoots he's doing, and Zack Snyder's rendition, but would love to see a limited series. Give us 8 episodes.
Oh my God, wouldn't that be great?
Give us 8 episodes, 8 1-hour episodes. I'm like, okay, that would be.
Because there's only 70 years worth of stories to tell, so I'm sure they could come up. Hopefully, they would adapt something good instead of making something on their own. But it's DC, so you never know. But yeah, that would be terrific. I would love to see that.
So I initially.
I'm sorry.
What would you say?
And the fact that Keaton is going to be in it too is like, that is so good,
so awesome.
And that's such a terrific story. Flashpoint Paradox is what it's based on.
Yes.
For my money is. Sometimes I think it's the best DC animated movie. Sometimes I think it's the second best, because New Frontier is also so good. Well, so many are so good. But Flashpoint Paradox is just that is the movie that should have been the Justice League movie. I mean,
that right there, yes, that should have been the movie right there.
But at least we're getting it. So looking forward to this. Hopefully they do it right. But yeah, the fact that Keaton's coming back. And Affleck is coming is like, wow, those are 2 big pluses for me. Yeah.
So if you weren't hyped about the Flash, you're really hyped now because you're just like, whoa, they're going to do this right.
Exactly. And we have to remember that apparently Thomas Wayne is still going to be in it. So it's like
Negan?
Yep.
So wait.
Crazy.
Cringy.
Yeah, I think it should be called the Batman movie. But
my goodness.
We'll see.
So the Batman, which is Batman Year 2.
Yes.
Did you like the trailer? Did you not like the trailer? What were some strong points on it?
I like the trailer. I like the trailer quite a bit. I like the fact that we finally got a trailer, because for so long it's like, oh, look, here's a slow pan of a really dark shot of what looks like it might be Batman's chest. Finally we get a trailer. It looks really good. I like the way Pattinson looks as Batman. I love the fact that it's Year 2. Because I was interested in Year 1, but I think Year 2 is a really smart move, because now he's Batman. Because in Year 1, he's learning to be Batman. Well, now he's Batman. He still doesn't have all the cool gadgets, but he's got a few. And I love the focus that it's going to be about the world's greatest detective. Obviously, from the trailer, he's also pretty good at the fisticuffs. So that part's not going to go up. And it's based on The Long Halloween, which is one of the best Batman stories ever. So it's like win. I mean, I was kind of surprised we didn't get a shot of Colin Farrell in the trailer, but that's okay because we see photos of him. I like the take on what the Riddler looks like, at least initially. Is like no version we've ever seen of the Riddler. That's cool.
That's what I liked. What Matt Reeves kept mentioning. This is a take on these characters that you know very well. It's going to be reimagined because they are not quite where they need to be.
Looks very, very good.
Yeah, and I like the fact that it's going to be similar to like the Joker. It's in its own universe, or in its own multiverse.
Yep, exactly.
So don't expect to see, Diana Prince show up.
Yes. Although, or if she does, it's going to be a different actress.
Yes.
And who knows? It could launch an entirely new stream. I mean, if it's super successful, of course they're going to continue with it, and there'll be sequels to this, and they might branch out, and we'll see what happens from there. Because there are certainly.
Todd, is it going to be a trilogy, or is it going to be a one-off movie?
Well, if it makes $750-800 million, it's going to be a trilogy. Matt Reeves might not be involved because he might not want to do a trilogy. But it's going to be a trilogy if it makes money. I mean, we know that. So, and I hope it does. Well, if it's good, I hope it does. And it looks like it's going to be good. Trailers can lie, unfortunately. But looks like it's going to be really, really good. Really excited. And that whole... Really? The guy from Twilight? That seems to have completely disappeared, thankfully.
Yeah. I just wanted to say to you, imagine if you were Robert Pattinson, right?
Yes.
You have Michael Keaton reemerging. You have Ben Affleck that won't go away.
Right.
You have a Batman Year One series. How do you feel about this? I think initially, do you think he was told, okay, you're Batman? Meaning, in previous tense, that meant you were carrying that actor. Now it's multiple versions.
Right. I haven't read any interviews with him on that particular topic, but he seems to be more about the acting than being overwhelmed about, wow, I'm Batman. So I think his take would be well, this is my interpretation, and the more the merrier kind of thing, because they're not doing my version of Batman. And that could be completely wrong. He could be freaked out thinking, what the hell? It's I thought I was going to be Batman. Now these suckers are coming back. This sucks.
Right.
He may be thinking that, and I wouldn't blame him. But because that's kind of hard. It's I'm the new Batman. I mean, imagine if Tom Holland, he gets the gig and says, I'm Spider-Man. And it's oh, look, there's Tobey Maguire. Let's have a party. Oh, and the guy from the terrible TV movie is they're all back. Yeah.
Yes. That
would not be fun. So, hopefully he has that attitude. It's hey, it's a film. I'm doing this character, and this is our take, I should say, because it's a collaborative effort. So, and then he's cool. I want to, and I imagine he probably will want to see the other versions and see their interpretation.
Right. I guess
there can be too much Batman when you get down to it.
Yeah, are we at that tipping point right now, or no?
I don't know if you can satiate the appetite for Batman as long as they're good projects.
Yeah,
and so far they seem to be. Even with the movies that didn't work as well as I might have liked, Batman v Justice.
Right.
Batman was really good. The character playing Batman was not the problem. So it doesn't seem to have changed. Now, if we get a few turkeys, then that might happen. If we get a suit with nipples, all bets are off.
The topic that I know you love talking about so much, Zack Snyder's Justice League.
I may surprise you.
So, I watched the panel.
Yeah.
Thought it was great. And when you heard Hallelujah play, what were you thinking? Trailer? Yes? No?
I was totally turned off by the use of Hallelujah, because to me that was so pretentious.
Gotcha.
It was oh, I'm here to save you with my version of it. It's dude, shut up. So, if you were going to save us, you should have done a sequel to Watchmen, which I really like, and most people don't like Watchmen. I think Watchmen is 3. I think the 300 is a great movie. Is it an Oscar-winning fantastic performance? No, but it's a fantastic movie. It's wonderfully entertaining. Unfortunately, this is also the guy who gave us Sucker Punch. So he's hardly infallible, unlike the way the Man of Steel should have been and wasn't. So, yeah, I was not on board with this at all. And now that we have it, and Warner's is sunk, what is it, $170 million?
Yeah.
Which is, that's a whole lot of money for some reshoots and special effects, dude, when you've shot most of that footage already, like the vast majority of it. So, but there's so many interesting things about it. It's like, one, okay, it's cool. Enough fans wanted it. They're doing it. That's a good thing.
Yes.
That's not a bad thing. They may be sorry they got it, and I have a feeling they will be, but it's cool that they're doing that. I love the way they're releasing it on HBO Max, as you said, and it's going to be cut into 4 one-hour episodes because, yes, it's a 4-hour movie.
Yes.
And it's also going to be available as a 4-hour movie after that initial run, which is awesome. And so you can sit down and plow through it, or you can take it in as an episodic experience, which is also cool. So a lot of the things they're doing with it, I think, are really smart. They're really well done. Not a fan of the way Darkseid looks.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like I did the CGI on that. And
it doesn't look good. Does it? I hope that's not the finished product.
See, that's what I'm thinking. But I haven't heard anyone say that, that's just a stand-in for now. I hope it is. Man, that looks terrible. It looks awful. So you cannot possibly believe that character because he looks like he's from a video game from like 1997.
Yes. When you were talking about when it could be possibly released as a 4-hour movie, I was thinking when I was sitting through The Irishman, and I was like, I love this, but I can't do this.
Yeah.
The full sit through. But let's keep our fingers crossed because, like I said, that can't be the final version of.
Well, if it is, this movie is a disaster.
Yeah, it's
because that's the big bad. That's the one we've been waiting for decades, and that's terrible.
And we thought Steppenwolf looked bad.
Right, exactly. And it looks worse than Steppenwolf. And how could you do that? So, yeah. So I really didn't like the Hallelujah thing. I thought that was really pretentious and crappy. I get it. Oh, Hallelujah, the Justice League is here. It's like, that's just stupid. Don't do that. Obviously, it's almost all new footage, which is cool because he's making his movie. Apparently, there's an even bigger focus on Cyborg, which not down for that. I'm still bitter that it's not Martian Manhunter. It's like I get it. You want someone young. You want someone who represents a different part of the community because there's not a lot of Martians going to the movies. I understand, but the character is boring. The character's been boring in every iteration I've ever seen. Like
Doom Patrol included.
Yeah, it's just like there's nothing really to connect with the guy. It's like, oh, okay, he used to play high school football and he got wrecked, and now he's like half man, half machine. Oh, that's cool. Whatever. Superman in the black suit. Yeah, that's cool, but not really a reason for me to watch a movie. There's so much hype about that aspect. It's like, yeah, okay, cool. But again, the fact that it basically looks like a very different movie, and it will be a very different movie, that's cool. So we can compare the two and see, okay, which version was better. Right. That'll be fun. The worst thing is Darkseid is like, please tell us that's a placeholder.
Has to be.
So
has
bad.
to be. Come on.
So bad. So we'll find out. We'll find out in a while. But the release, the distribution of it, the way they're releasing it, a lot of it is very, very smart. And making it 4 hours, that makes it an event. That's also smart.
Yes.
So there's a lot of really good decisions that they made with this.
That's your limited series there.
I hope he turns out making another 300 or Watchmen here. I don't want it to be bad. I expect it to be bad because he certainly gave me no reason to think it wouldn't be, considering Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. But, hopefully he'll turn it around. I mean, that would be cool. M. Night Shyamalan managed to do that with Split. It's like he hadn't made a good movie in seemed like 100 years. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's like, oh, I think I'll make this movie. He's like, what? Where you been, dude?
Yes.
So it would be really nice to say, hey, Zack Snyder is back. This is a great movie. That would be very cool because they're awesome characters. They deserve a great movie, and they haven't gotten it yet.
Wanted to talk about the last DC topic, Daniel Cormier.
Another fallen hero. I think he was in the very end of Batman v Superman.
Oh my goodness. We watched last week. You and I were texting back and forth. And I was just like, I kind of know what's going to happen here. Yeah.
But you still never know because DC is so underrated, which is odd that a guy who's championing the two biggest divisions, literally and figuratively, in the biggest MMA organization. And he only has, at that point, he only had 2 losses.
Right.
It's like, dude, how does this guy not get more credit? Someone on Facebook said something. I was like, yeah, it's like he was always overrated. Just like, what?
Come on, stop.
I messaged you. It's like, come on, this guy has to be the greatest bad body athlete of all time.
Yes.
Fucking athlete. He doesn't look like he doesn't. He looks like maybe he could punch his way out of a paper bag, I guess, but he'd probably get tired doing it. That's how he looks. And this guy had incredible stamina. 5-round fights, no problem. When did you ever see DC get tired? Never. Here, some of the people that he beat: Jeff Monson, Josh Barnett, Bigfoot Silva, Frank Mir, Roy Nelson, Dan Henderson. Granted, that was towards the end of Henderson's career. Anthony Johnson twice.
Rumble.
And, it's like, come on. The only person that he ever fought that he didn't beat was a guy who cheated twice.
Yeah.
Who used to be my favorite fighter, but I'm kind of tired of a guy who can't even live life correctly, let alone fight correctly. So
it's not a role model.
Sorry,
it's not a role model.
No,
never been one.
Yeah, that's which is a tragedy because this guy could be one of the biggest stars on the planet. And I don't mean just in UFC. I mean, period. If he would live his life correctly, but he unfortunately seems to have been able to do that so far. But back to DC. Yeah, this guy is, and I hope he's done. I hope
so too.
Because he doesn't need to come back. Could he come back and beat him? Yeah, he could come back and win 5-6 more fights. I'm sure he could. They wouldn't be
no reason to.
Very top, but no. It's like he doesn't need to go in and get drilled by Francis Ngannou. Although, honestly, could he beat him? Sure he could. Because his defense is that damn good. I mean, he's a terrific fighter. But he is so likable and does such a great job as a commentator. It's like, dude,
he does.
Come on, man. So,
I still
believe,
Todd, I still believe in my heart of hearts he's going to wind up in WWE land as a commentator.
Oh, okay. Well, that would be weird, but not in the ring, please. And
commentator, part-time talent.
He could go in and fight Brock or something. It's like, I don't want to see that. I really don't want to see that because I don't want to see Brock either. Speaking of cheaters.
No.
So what I would like to see, I want to see Mark Hunt and Brock in an alley someplace.
Gotcha.
That's what I want to see because Brock deserves the beat down. But yeah, DC, hopefully his career as a fighter is done. But my gosh, I mean, that guy, he could do commentary on fights for the next 40 years. And I hope he does. Yeah. He's so smart. He knows, which the UFC does such a fabulous job with their commentators. I mean, those guys, I mean, you would hope they would know how to fight because they've all been top-notch fighters, but
right.
They deliver the information so well All of them do. But Cormier might be the best at it. And he's so funny, which helps a lot. He's not Bisping funny, because Bisping is such an ass. Michael Bisping, that is, the Count.
Yes.
But in a funny way. But yeah, Cormier, please be done. And please don't think you're unappreciated, because this is one of the best fighters ever. Absolutely. I mean, when you look at the people that he beat and the work ethic and the technique, because come on, he's 5'11".
I know.
And he should be fighting at 205. He never should have gone up to heavyweight.
Never.
And he was taking heavyweights out. So, yeah, just the fact that anyone would denigrate this guy's career is like, dude, did you not see any of his fights? It's like, come on, man. 3 losses in his career, and 2 of them were 5-round decisions.
Yes.
It's like, okay.
What does that tell you?
Yes, exactly. I mean, he's just a beast. He's a machine. And
Todd, want to definitely thank you for joining the podcast. You do a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, we tell us about the other podcasts and or audio and or video podcasts that you participate in, where you write, all the above.
I have a face made for radio, so there's no video podcast. We've got Cinema Savants, where we talk about movies, which makes sense because it's cinema, and Nikki X Happy Hour, where we talk about all sorts of odd things. Sometimes we say bad language too, so be aware of that. It's not safe for work or school or your grandmother, unless your grandmother's cool, because then she would probably like it. And as you said, I tweet about once every 2 months on the Unreal Todd and Facebook stuff. So, and I'm working on a project which I'll talk to you about in post-pro.
I want to hear phase 2, 3, and 4 on that. So we will close out and we will start to discuss in post-pro. We want to thank you for joining us and look forward to the next podcast in another week or so.
Thank you so much. Always an extreme pleasure.